I'm Reverend Bill Adams. Stay tuned. Taped with Rabbi Doug is next.
We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug on your TV tonight.
But Daddy, I want to watch Monday Night Football.
Forget about Monday Night Football. There's no other thing we're gonna watch on Monday but Rabbi Doug. Yeah, Rabbi Doug on TV tonight. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. Oh, everybody talk about Doug.
Shalom and welcome to Taped with Rabbi Doug. We are here in Chicago, Illinois, and my guest is Reverend Bill Adams. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rabbi Doug.
And welcome to Chicago. He is the United States Deputy National Director for Bridges for Peace. Bridges for Peace is an organization which supports Israel, and it does a lot more. And I want to read your mission statement, if I may, to open up. Bridges for Peace is a Jerusalem-based, Bible-believing Christian organization supporting Israel and building relationships between Christians and Jews worldwide through education and practical deeds expressing God's love and mercy. What a statement. It's a statement of peace, it's a statement of camaraderie, and it's really a fundamental belief, as you would probably put it, I believe, of Christianity, that if you believe in the Bible, the Torah, the Tanakh, the Torah, Nevi'im, Ketuvim, the prophets, the writings, the Old Testament, however you want to look at them and call them, if you believe that those are godly given, godly inspired, then you should be a supporter of Israel just the way that Bridges for Peace supports Israel. Is that correct?
Yes, I would agree with that. We think that Christians have a responsibility to read and study and know their Bible, and that it alone establishes the responsibility of Christians towards Israel and the Jewish people. There shouldn't be confusion on it as far as we're concerned.
So let me ask you about you. Bill, you are ordained, and you're working for Bridges for Peace. Tell me about where your ordination is from. What sect of Christianity are you connected to, and how did you connect up with Bridges for Peace?
Personally, part of that really large and fastest growing part of Christianity, which can only be called non-denominational. It's very Bible-oriented, not historical church so much, other than discovering the historical root of Christianity, which is actually Jewish. And so that's where we seek to teach. The Bible itself is a Jewish root. It's a Jewish source book. We would hold the New Testament the same way. It comes out of Second Temple Judaism. So that's where we teach. That's where we anchor. My own ordination now is with one of those kind of many organizations that license and ordain pastors and leaders across denominationally, I think is probably what you call it.
So let me go to this question, and that is, how do you bring in Christians from different sects of Christianity? Whether it's a Catholic who might come along and say, the Pope doesn't teach about Bridges for Peace, or their beliefs, although I might agree with some of them, so I can't be involved in an organization like that. How do you bring in the Catholics and the Lutherans and the Protestants and the evangelical Christians and all the other sects of Christianity? How do you bring them together in such an organization supporting such an idea and theory?
Well, we work at that, and it's hard work because of all of the schisms between denominational groups. I don't know that we can be idealistic to the point of thinking that's going to go away anytime soon, but I can say that because of the increased Bible-believing community among Christians, there's great hope. Whether it's a Catholic or a Protestant or something on the spectrum, we just find that if they'll turn to the Bible for their source, and we can't claim that we get it all right, but we're in the pursuit of that truth, then you find out that God has a plan for Israel. He's covenanted with Israel. He's not breaking his promises. We ought to cooperate with what God is doing, and that does break down at least some of those barriers across those various denominations.
So you are saying that the Bible is teaching that Christians have a responsibility to support Israel as the Jewish homeland?
Exactly. It's established in Tanakh as well as New Testament. there is no abrogation of the land promise in the New Testament. So as Christians read and study that, and by the way, I hope our Jewish listeners or viewers would understand too that all of the scriptures are taught in Bible-believing churches. It's from Genesis, and then our scriptures close out with Revelation. And the promises of God to Israel are consistent throughout. It is simply wrong and bad Christian theology that is taught otherwise, and it's still perpetuated today that's causing still some of that hurt towards the Jewish people that has historically resulted in what we have to sadly acknowledge as Christian anti-Semitism. We're constantly working to counteract that.
Now, Bridges for Peace appeals to the Christian community. It is a Christian-run organization for Christians to teach and to help bring people towards the support of Israel because it is a biblical obligation. Is that correct? You're not proselytizing Jews to become Christians or non-Christians to become Christians. This is Christians for Christians doing their biblical obligation.
That's exactly right. We have, that's our focus, that's our effort, is to, in a non-proselytizing fashion, simply teach the Jewish rootedness of Christianity such that there would be a response of Christians to bless and not curse, to stand with instead of work against, to come out of apathy. I think apathy is so often such a damaging factor. Just stop being apathetic and care and take some action. We're not a political action group, but we are a social action. We are help the people that have need in Israel, and also explore coming alongside your local Jewish community to see how you can be a friend, a strength, a comfort. If we're welcome to be that, we will be.
I have more questions on this subject, but I want to go ahead because you're talking about helping others. Bridges for Peace has helped over 45,000 former Soviet Union residents make Aliyah to Israel. How do you help 45,000? What have you done to help these 45,000 immigrants to Israel from the former Soviet Union, Jewish immigrants go on Aliyah?
Well, there's some wonderful works like Rabbi Eckstein's work, International Fellowship for
Yechiel
Christian Jews.
Eckstein.
Yes, Yechiel Eckstein's work, that are raising the funds to provide the flights home to Israel. What we found is there's a missing piece of where a Jewish person may not be able to get on that flight if they can't prove their Jewish identity, first of all. And maybe under communism they hid their, anything like that was hidden away. Maybe they need to get ground transportation to get to the port. Maybe they need a bill paid off, or they can't get that visa because of any debt that they have. There's many needs like that, and sometimes it can seem it's only a few $100s, but to them it's an insurmountable challenge. We are cooperating with a Christian organization called Ezra International. So that's really our hands and feet on the ground there. So our own staff is intersecting and working with, and we're funding their work. And what they're doing is mobilizing, get this, a lot of Christian pastors in those lands who are being sent out. Do you know the prophecy in Jeremiah about I will send fishermen? All right, so they're called fishermen. I just met one recently. These fishermen are simply going out, again, non-proselytizing, just to find the members of the Jewish community that want to make Aliyah, but have some big block for why they can't do it.
So isn't there a fear when, for example, when you walk into a synagogue and put on a yarmulke out of respect, you don't wear one because you're not Jewish, but when you walk into a synagogue and you put on a yarmulke out of respect, isn't there a fear that you're there to proselytize people?
I'm sure that fear is always there by many. The fear goes away when people do like you're doing. They just say, let's try being friends. It's okay to test a friendship a bit, isn't it?
Bridges for Peace feeds over 28,000 poor in Israel every month, using over 70 tons of food monthly. That's an amazing number. First of all, how do you find 28,000 poor people? I know they're there, but how do you find them? How do you get the food to supply 28,000 people who are poor? 70 tons of food. Where does it come from?
Think about it. It needs to be kosher food, meeting the highest standards. So we're going to purchase that food on the economy of Israel, helping the businesses that are selling those foods, but we're getting excellent rates on wholesale. And I could go on with all the amazing ways, but it's all come out of the social service agencies, the military, elements of the government. local governments of towns and all saying, can you help us this way? What we do is we put the appeal out around the world, which is constantly what our materials are going out for, online as well as printed, saying, here's needs, can you help? And Christians have responded, and that's who we appeal to. It's the Christian communities. Again, who's going to respond to our appeal? Bible-believing Christians, whatever denomination they might be. They're basically people that say, I see it in my Bible, I see the need is real, let me help. And they give and they pray. And let me add this, many of them go to Israel to serve because we can't do this work without our volunteers. So we have about 70 self-supported volunteers in the land of Israel at any given time.
So you came here from Florida. You're based in Florida, but you're serving the entire country of the United States as far as coordinating Bridges for Peace in this country. It's an organization that's based in Jerusalem, and you must have a lot of responsibilities. You know, I was in Washington recently, and I heard a number of senators talk about how many times they've been to Israel. I've been there 12 times, I've been there 13 times, and then John Kerry got up and said, I've been there that many times in the last month. I'm sure you must be going to Israel up and back a number of times on a regular basis, being part of this organization.
I get to go there about twice a year. We don't have unlimited budget for travel. In fact, most any budget we have is for food and these other projects. So I do get to go, sometimes I get to host a tour. And you know how when you host a tour, you can raise the funds through the tour, what people are paying in. Otherwise, Bridges sends me to be part of the training. Sometimes I get to go be part of the volunteering and meetings. You know, there's always meetings to try to keep things going. So I'm part of the senior leader team of the international Bridges.
Part of the Jewish agency in Israel supports a wonderful program called Birthright.
Mm-hmm.
And Birthright is an opportunity for students between the ages of 18 and 25 years old to go to Israel for free, paid for by the Jewish agency and contributors to the Jewish agency who support this particular program. And they go there and have a 10-day trip, those who may have never gone to visit Israel, to help them connect their Judaism to Israel. You have an organization at Bridges for Peace for young people also to teach them about their Christian roots in Israel?
That's right. We call it Zealous 8:2. Now that comes straight from the prophet Zechariah, where God is speaking, saying, I am zealous for Zion with great zeal. So we just capture that zeal for Zion in the lives of young adults, these we call it 18 to 30-year-olds, that can go on Zealous Impact, we call it. And it's a tour that is high energy, and it is connecting with your Jewish roots. That's what they do. We're the kind of Christian, when we do our tours, we're not interested so much, maybe even at all, honestly, in the Christian holy sites. We want them to see the reality of Israel, and they understand political and social issues of Israel today. So that's Zealous.
Being a supporter of Israel and the Jewish people's homeland being Israel, how do you get over the theology of, if you're not a believer, if you don't believe in Christian messianic beliefs, then you're not going to be saved and there's no hope for you, and so on. How do you get over that theology that is so prevalent in many Christian sects when they try and meet someone else and they become proselytizing because of that? How does an organization like yours bypass that and say, we love you because you're Jewish, because we love Israel? How does that work?
We find it simply to be, again, Bible-believing truth and conduct. And so we therefore are non-proselytizing, which means that while we hold true to our convictions of what we believe, and I don't think you'd want us to do anything else, but we don't need to therefore say, you have to believe the same as we do, or we can't relate, or we can't be friends. That's called conditional love. I don't think it's love at all. Unconditional love is a regard and a respect for you. We have so much reason to regard and respect the Jewish people because these are our elder brothers and sisters in our faith. These are the ones whom God said are my people. I will bless and those who bless. We have every reason to come alongside and strengthen, and not to try to put an agenda on this people. When God says, these are mine, I will have my way with my people. So we just want to come alongside is the best way I can put it.
Be tolerant friends side by side.
Yes.
I love it, I love
Mhm.
it. Tell me about anti-Semitism. You are involved in a number of articles. First of all, Dispatch from Jerusalem. This is a bi-monthly magazine that Bridges for Peace puts out, and you talk about throughout things about Israel. It's about Israel. It's about what's going on in the Ukraine right now, about what's going on in Iran, about things that are going on in politics, the passing of Ariel Sharon in this particular issue, about archaeology in Israel, things that affect, you would think, Jews, but are affecting you as biblical believing Christians. And you yourself write articles. I know you have this monthly newsletter that goes out, Israel teaching, and it's this teaching letter comes out monthly and teaches about Israel and your connection to Israel and Israel's connection to the Bible and biblical beliefs. You write about anti-Semitism. You've written in this book by Rebecca Brimmer, which is part of Bridges for Peace's leaders, also written for Israel and the Church, God's Roadmap. How did you get hooked up in being, I don't want to use the word expert, people like to be called experts, but as knowledgeable as you are about the histories of anti-Semitism and how they relate throughout the ages with Christianity and with Israel today?
Well, there are those that have been teaching on these subjects for quite a while, but I believe the real focus came even in the midst of and then following the Holocaust, which had to be arresting for anyone of conscience. Like, what did we do? What happened? What went wrong? So much of what went wrong was that a Christianity that denied God's promises, an ongoing relationship with the Jewish people, it opened the door. If they didn't even directly participate, they allowed the extermination of a people. Okay, this should wake us up, and some did. And I benefit from some writers and thinkers of this post-Holocaust period, and I'm just trying to carry on what I understand to be, what does the church need to know about the sad history of our wrongdoing towards the Jewish people? And by knowing that, we can then better understand what has been causing pain in the Jewish community, what causes a huge mistrust of Christians. We can better understand how to approach, we hope, our Jewish friends respectfully and understand that there is reason that you could be mistrusted, and you need to just present yourself as one who will help and serve in a way that this people says, not the way you think your program will have to be. I think that's the outworking of reversing this anti-Semitic approach, which often is in ignorance. I must say, so many people just act out of ignorance. They don't know any better, but they need to know better, so we educate them, and then they can start to act responsibly.
How do you do outreach? It's great to put out these newsletters and educate people who are involved in your organization and receive them. How do you do outreach to other Christians and teach them about brotherly love with the Jewish people and a love for Israel biblically, which many of them don't understand and don't know?
Yes. We have a network of volunteers across the country, and that's the main thing I work with. We're here together thanks to Tony and Laura in Virgo.
Yes.
Right? Now
my good friend, the Reverend Anthony
right.
in Virgo, who introduced me to you, I can't thank enough.
Absolutely.
Who I've been friends with for years and has introduced me to Bridges for Peace as such a valid organization and necessary organization in this world.
Yes. Well, you can see the character of the kind of people God has given us. And so Tony and Laura represent those that are across the nation who in a volunteer way are doing this education. They get educated. We train them for 2 weeks in Israel, by the way. We call it the Institute of Israel Studies. And that happens every May. So soon I'll be headed that way to be part of that. Okay, well, they get trained in Israel. They get ongoing training and coaching from our senior leaders. And they do the work. They educate. They teach in the churches. They do seminars. They get into pulpits on Sundays wherever they can. They sit down and talk with pastors and other leaders. So our books go out, our materials, people get us online, And they get us wherever we can with our continual effort to multiply these people we call key contacts, representatives, and also prayer leaders that are making the difference across the country. And each of our Bridges nations, of which there's 8 of them,
so tell me
doing
what
this.
you're international. Tell me some of the nations that have actual offices for Bridges for Peace.
Okay. Well, other than Israel and where we're internationally headquartered, we are in 7 other nations, and let's see if I can get them all. But if I miss one, it's a good try. But let's see. There's the UK, and we're developing in Switzerland right now. We hope to open an office there. Then we have South Africa. We have Canada, the U.S. We have Japan, and there's a lot of great stories to tell about the Japanese Christians, by the way, if there's time. There is South Korea is developing right now to be an office, but we also have already long established Australia and New Zealand.
Are some of these places ignorant to the philosophies and beliefs that are teachings of Bridges for Peace about the biblical homeland, about God's promise being kept? Is some of this brand new to them?
Oh, often, quite often. It's interesting, as Christianity spread, people could be taught that God is done with Israel, and that's generally been called replacement theology, like he replaced Israel with the church. That's just a big problem around the globe. What's interesting is that it's less in the East. As the Eastern church is emerging, there's an underground church of China, for instance, that's growing, and it's reflected in South Korea, for instance, Japan. These churches have not been as affected. This is something to really watch. Those churches, as they emerge, when I say churches, we're talking about gatherings of people, wherever you may find them, above ground or underground, they're essentially getting the opportunity to believe the Bible. The Bible says God is covenanted with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and he won't break his covenant. And that's exciting. That's what you're finding. So wherever we can, sometimes we just have to bypass these strongholds of replacement theology because they won't listen to us. We'll keep gently knocking on their door, but meanwhile we have a lot of work to do among those that will listen. They just can take action because they actually believe the Bible.
Wonderful. Well, I think the best way to know about Bridges for Peace is to see it in action. And we're going to watch a little piece here on Taped with Rabbi Doug about Bridges for Peace. So stay with us and we'll be right back.
I will bless those who bless thee. Israel. Today, modern Israel is a land of incredible diversity and astounding beauty, where Christian pilgrims in ancient boats still brave the unpredictable waters of the Galilee. Near the Dead Sea, Masada rises as a reminder of ancient battles. Travel south and stand amazed at the stark barrenness of the Negev. And then there's Jerusalem, where a modern, robust city surrounds the old city walls. But does the existence of a modern state of Israel represent the fulfillment of an ancient prophecy from God to his people, to gather them from all the nations once again to the land of promise? Is God still provoked by our actions toward his chosen people? Will he still bless those that bless Israel?
God is moving in Israel. Israel is the stage on which God is revealing himself to the world. And the Jewish people are coming home by the millions in fulfillment of Bible prophecy. Ezekiel says God is fulfilling his word so the nations will know that he is God. He is proving he is a faithful, covenant-keeping God. And God has called Bridges for Peace to be players on this stage, partnering together with him to fulfill the ancient prophecies and glorify the name of God.
And then we want to welcome back also Yoshi from Japan.
Each year, Christian volunteers travel from the 4 corners of the globe to show God's love in action. Bridges for Peace has joined God's prophetic plan to rebuild Zion, giving tangible help to the Jewish people to help them return to Zion, become established, and deal with the ongoing struggle of life in Israel.
Great.
Over 63 metric tons of food are distributed every month from the Bridges for Peace assistance centers located in Jerusalem and Carmiel. Additionally, the warehouse at Carmiel stores about 500 tons of food at all times. The Adopt an Israeli Town program provides food for the needy residents of towns like Beit Shemesh. The Feed a Child program provides hot lunches and school supplies for some of the poorest kids in Israel. Bridges for Peace sends fishermen throughout the former Soviet Union to search for Jews who long to call Israel home, but have lost hope. Once they're located, Project Rescue covers the cost for passports, exit visas, ground transportation, and lodging. And so far, Bridges for Peace has rescued more than 36,000 Jews who now live in Israel. However, many Jewish people in these Eastern Bloc countries are not able to immigrate to Israel. Through Project Tikva, the Hebrew word for hope, Bridges for Peace has established assistance centers and soup kitchens for those who cannot leave. The adoption program provides sponsors who support a Jewish family or individual for a year. Many participants in the adoption program are new immigrants. New immigrants also benefit from the Welcome Program gift package. By providing for some of their most basic needs, Bridges for Peace eases the transition for these newest Israeli citizens. The home repair team are all skilled workers who volunteer to go into the people's homes, paint, plaster, fix plumbing and electrical problems, repair the broken doors and windows, and install handrails for the elderly. War. Terror. For the people of Israel, war and acts of terrorism are woven like a constant thread through everyday life. The love shown by Christian volunteers by providing for special needs like wheelchairs and food vouchers and financial assistance shows the victims of war they are not alone. Through publications, books, seminars, study tours, church leader training programs, radio, web, video, and Zealous 8.2, our young adult outreach, Bridges for Peace teaches Christians to understand and identify with Israel, the Jewish people, and the biblical Hebraic foundations of our Christian faith. Bridges for Peace, your Israel connection.
Welcome back here on Taped with Rabbi Doug. I'm here with Reverend Bill Adams. He is the United States Deputy National Director of Bridges for Peace. And I want to thank you so much for being on the show,
My pleasure.
coming here to Chicago.
Thank you.
I want to thank Tony and Virgo for introducing you to me.
Yes.
It's been most interesting and enlightening. I want to thank all of you for being with us. Remember, you can check out our website, www.tvrabbi.com, where you can also see former shows on the web. If you want to send an email to Bill or to the organization, you can send us an email at info@tvrabbi.com. I will forward it to them, and Bill will make sure that you get a personal response from your email. I want to thank all of you for being with us. I want to thank you once again for coming in from Florida. Wish you a safe trip to Israel in the coming weeks.
So appreciate you having me on, Rabbi.
We hope to see you next time right here on Taped with Rabbi Doug. Shalom, everyone.
On the TV tonight.
This has been a Taped with Rabbi Doug production.